Hello guys and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. Kerbal Space Program is a game where these guys called Kerbals have a space program. Pretty self-explanatory. And you're in charge of their space program. You get to fly the flights as well as design the spacecraft. It does come with pre-designed spacecraft, and how come I'm getting such a low frame rate? Anyway, yeah. It comes with pre-designed spacecraft and spacecraft that you can make. You can also make your own spacecraft. So we're going to start a new game called the caps lock. The YouTube, and yes, I did just spell it YouTube. Save. Later there will be a career mode, but for now you're limited to sandbox. To be honest, I don't think that's a bad thing because I like sandbox mode. Now, first thing we're going to do, we're going to load the Kerbal 10, which is one of the pre-designed spacecraft. Now I have quite a few mods. This is this is like, this uses entirely vanilla parts. I'm going to add a few non-vanilla parts. Mech Jeb, or mechanical Jeb. It's an autopilot system. Now, some people criticize it with things like, it's like playing a first-person shooter with an auto-aimer to have Mech Jeb, which is a basically complete autopilot. Well, to that I say, well, if in that first-person shooter, you have to design your own guns. The guns have a chance of exploding in your face and just not doing anything. Then, yeah, it's exactly like that. Now, to be honest, I would actually like to play that game. Also, I'm going to add a stock part, the Advanced SAS module, which is just stabilization augmentation. And propulsion, I think it would be. An RCS fuel tank. You know what? I'm just going to change something with fraps quickly. Much better on the lag. Just changed it to record at 30 frames per second. Now, I'm also going to add RCS ports, which basically just use monopropellant, which is the RCS fuel, to augment your control. I am also going to put that there just for the tiny bit of extra fuel you need. And we're going to take this to orbit and try to land on the moon. Ah yes, a few more things we need. Solar panels for power. Now I'm going to use, these? Yeah, these. And then I'm going to put down some lights. Now, I'm going to sort of just assume that you're going to figure out how to use this on your own, which is a pretty good assumption since I figured it out fine. So I guess the only thing left to do is Kerbal 10 Moon Edition. And yes, it is called the Moon. The Moon. Yeah. It's hard to pronounce, but yeah. It's called that. And I probably should have added some batteries. I do have a small battery in my command pod here. You know what? Might as well do that. I mean, there's no point in running out of electricity. So, yeah, just put maybe 2 of these on. No, that's on there. Maybe I should turn off angle snap. yeah, it just basically makes it easier to place things, at about the same place. Which, yeah. So, I'm just going to be winging this, but what I'm going to do is, I was doing some other stuff earlier, so yeah. Basically, I'm going to talk a bit about Kerbal Space Program. Well, the ascent guidance from Mechanical Jeb, or MechJeb for short, deals with my getting up. Like launching. So I'll time accelerate it and just do voiceover commentary for, yeah. So here we're watching the footage. So we have the autopilot, the ascent, guidance, and that basically just does gravity turns, which basically just turns over because you need some horizontal speed, not only vertical speed, and does it at predetermined intervals, predetermined amounts, and by your apoapsis, which is the orbit altitude, which is 100 kilometers in this case, you're at 90 degrees, and then it creates a maneuver and executes that maneuver that circularizes your orbit. So at this point, we're back at live commentary, and I'm actually disabling the autopilot because I find it gives you an inefficient ascent path. Or you know what, we'll just stay on our prograde, which is basically the direction we're heading. And then we'll engage the autopilot so that it creates the maneuver node correctly. I'll get into maneuver nodes later. Basically, they tell you which direction to point in and when to do it. And how long to, turn your throttle, basically. Well, I guess the word would be burn, but I didn't want to do that. So the word would be burn, that's what we would say, and basically it's whenever your engines are on, you're burning. Because you're burning the fuel, right? And we've started, as you can see, this is the speed we need to increase. This is called the delta V required. Delta V, I describe it as delta is change, V is velocity. Change in velocity. Right? Pretty self-explanatory. At least, I hope it's self-explanatory. Yeah. Anyway, back to post-commentary. Back to post-commentary. Okay, back with live commentary. By the way, time warp, just turn on if you hold Alt, you can turn on physics warp, which will just, speed up the game. But time warp will basically just put everything on rails, make it unmovable, and then speed it up. So that will prevent spinning. Our lights work, although we're probably gonna run out of power if we use them. So why don't I make Jebediah Kerman go out of the thing and on a spacewalk, just to examine things, make sure it's working properly. Of course, I would have figured out if something didn't work properly, but for the role-playing element. Also, do I still have a parachute up here? Yes, I do. I'll be using this to land back safely. Whoa. Yes, the controls are WASD, and control to go down, shift to go up. And, yeah. So as you can see, pack fuel is the amount of fuel he has, and, yeah. So, just looking for the ladder to grab onto to get back into the capsule. There is also an in-cockpit view, although on this particular cockpit it doesn't really have any advantages, although some cockpits just look really cool. Grab and board. And that was Jebediah Kerman. He's sort of, well, let's just say he's a tiny bit famous of a Kerbal. So next, we will do a maneuver planner. Now maneuver nodes are maneuvers. So I'll show you these. So basically, I'm going to do by the way, apoapsis is the highest point in your orbit, periapsis is the lowest point in your orbit. I'm going to do a Hohmann transfer to target. So I'm going to need to select a target. In this case, as we already decided, set the moon as the target. So I'm just going to create that maneuver node, and that's going to show us then after the maneuver node, after we've completed the maneuver node, the moon will be there when we encounter it, it will be there. Then we will hit it there. Now there's ways to fix that, but then if we don't get into a stable orbit around the moon, we're going to escape from its gravity and then ultimately escape from Earth's gravity. So the node is in T-minus 22 minutes, 50 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I just told it to execute it, and then it's just going to do the maneuver node. And what it's going to do is it's going to do half before the scheduled time, so 420.6 meters per second of velocity before the scheduled maneuver node, and 420